Welcome back to the Reading Corner with Miss Jackie. Today's another Disney classic, Cinderella. This one's one of my favorite tales as we get to hear all about Cinderella's journey and how kind she is to everybody, even though they're not always kind to her. And her kindness with her friends helps her. Her friends come to her rescue when she needs it. So let's go ahead and now read our story, Walt Disney's Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a widowed gentleman and his lovely daughter, Ella. Ella was a beautiful girl. She had golden hair, and her eyes were as blue as forget-me-nots. The gentleman was a kind and devoted father, and he gave Ella everything her heart desired. But he felt she may need a mother. So he married again, choosing for his wife a woman who had 2 daughters. Their names were Anastasia and Drizella. The gentleman soon passed. Then the stepmother's true nature was revealed. She was only interested in her mean, selfish daughters. The stepmother gave Ella a little room in the attic, old rags to wear, and all the housework to do. Soon, everyone called her Cinderella, because when she cleaned the fireplaces, she was covered with cinders. Did you know that? Her name's actually Ella. They call her Cinderella because of all of her cleaning. But Cinderella had many friends. The old horse and Bruno the dog both loved her very much. The mice loved her too. She protected them from her stepmother's nasty cat, Lucifer. 2 of her favorite mice were Gus and Jacques. Cinderella was kind to everyone, even to Lucifer, but he sometimes took advantage of her kindness. So here's her cleaning out the fireplace. All the black soot, all that is called the cinders, so that's why they called her Cinderella. And here's Cinderella with her beautiful dog, her mouse friends, the horse, and that's the cat. She's even kind to him, even though he's a little mean back. Lucifer liked to get Cinderella in trouble. One morning, he chased Gus onto Anastasia's breakfast table. She screamed and blamed Cinderella. "Come here," the stepmother said to Cinderella. "The windows, wash them. Then scrub the terrace, sweep the halls, and of course, there's laundry." In another part of the kingdom, the king was worrying about his son. "It's high time he married and settled down," he told the Grand Duke. "But sire," said the Duke, "we must be patient." "No buts about it," shouted the king. "We'll have the ball tonight. It'll be very romantic. Send out the invitations." So there's little Gus and friends scaring her stepsister. And here's the Duke and the king. When the invitation arrived, Cinderella's stepmother announced, "There's a ball in honor of the prince. Every eligible maiden is to attend." "That means I can go too," Cinderella said. "Well, I see no reason why you can't," the stepmother replied with a sly smile. "If you get your work done, and if you find something suitable to wear." Cinderella had hoped to fix her old party dress, but Anastasia and Drizella wanted her to help them instead. The stepmother kept her busy too. Cinderella worked hard all day long. When she finally returned to her little attic room, there was almost no time to leave to get ready for the ball, and her dress wasn't ready yet. But the loyal mice had managed to find ribbons, sashes, ruffles, and bows. The mice had sewn them into her party dress. It looked beautiful. The stepsisters shrieked when they saw Cinderella. "They're my ribbons! That's my sash!" They tore her dress to shreds. "Come along now, girls," said the stepmother. Then they left Cinderella behind. Look, they're tearing apart her dress, but I think someone's coming to help. Cinderella ran into the garden. She wept and wept. Suddenly a hush fell over the garden, and a cloud of light began to twinkle and glow around Cinderella's head. "Come now, dry those tears," said a gentle voice, and a small woman appeared in a cloud. "You can't go to the ball looking like that. What in the world did I do with my magic wand? Who could she be? Magic wand? Replied Cinderella. Then you must be your fairy godmother, the woman replied, pulling her magic wand out of thin air. The first thing you need is a pumpkin. A cloud of sparkles floated across the garden. A pumpkin rose up and swelled into an elegant coach. The mice turned into horses. The horse became a coachman, and Bruno became a footman. Well, hop in, my dear, said the woman. But my dress, said Cinderella. The fairy godmother looked at it. Good heavens! With a wave of her wand, she turned the rags into an exquisite gown. On Cinderella's feet were tiny glass slippers. See, her pink dress turned into a blue gown. She has her glass slippers. And here's the coach. It's a carriage to take her to the ball. And all of her animal friends turned into those who can help her get there. You'll have only till midnight, the fairy godmother said. At the stroke of 12, the spell will be broken, and everything will be as it was before. Cinderella promised to leave the ball on time. Then, under a shower of magic sparkles, she stepped into her coach and swept away to the palace. When Cinderella arrived at the ball, the prince was yawning with boredom. Then he caught sight of her. Ignoring everyone else, the prince walked over to Cinderella. He kissed her hand and asked her to dance. They swirled off across the ballroom. It's always been one of my favorite. Do you see those magic sparkles? And there they are dancing. The prince didn't leave Cinderella's side all night. They danced every dance together. As the lights dimmed and sweet music floated out into the summer night, Cinderella heard the clock begin to chime. Oh, goodness, she gasped. It's midnight. I must... Goodbye. Wait, come back, called the prince. I don't even know your name. Cinderella hurried down the palace steps. In her haste, she lost one of the glass slippers, but she had no time to pick it up. She leaped into the waiting coach. As soon as the coach went through the gates, the magic spell was broken. Cinderella found herself standing by the side of the road, dressed in her old rags. 1 foot, she still wore a glass slipper. Just like Fairy Godmother said, she only had until midnight, but one piece was left behind. Her coachman was an old horse again, and her footman was Bruno the dog. Her coach was a hollow pumpkin, and her horses were 4 of her mouse friends. They looked sadly at Cinderella, but they all had to hurry home. They had to be back before the others returned from the ball. The next day, the stepmother told the girls that the Grand Duke was coming to see them. He's been hunting all night for that girl, the one who lost her slipper. That girl shall be the prince's bride. Cinderella smiled and hummed a waltz that she had played at the ball. The stepmother became suspicious and locked Cinderella in her room. So this was once the carriage that took her to the ball, now back to a pumpkin. And the evil stepmother is locking Cinderella in her room. Don't you worry though. Gus and Jacques had a plan to help Cinderella. While Anastasia and Drizella tried to squeeze their big feet into the little glass slipper, the 2 mice sneaked into the stepmother's pocket. They got a hold of the key, tugged it upstairs, and unlocked the door. Cinderella rushed downstairs to try on the glass slipper. May I try it on? Cinderella asked. The wicked stepmother fumed. She tripped the footman who was holding the glass slipper. It fell to the floor and shattered into 1,000 pieces. But you see, Cinderella said, reaching into her pocket, I have the other slipper. She put it on and it fit perfectly. Here's Jacques and Gus lugging up that big key. They'd do anything to help Cinderella. And here she is trying on the slipper that was left behind. Even though the stepmother tried to ruin it, tried to break the first one, and succeeded, Cinderella had the second slipper. From that moment on, everything was a dream come true. Cinderella went off to the palace with the happy Grand Duke, The prince was overjoyed to see her, and so was the king. Cinderella and the prince spent lots of time together, getting to know each other and falling in love. Then they were married. In her happiness, Cinderella didn't forget about her animal friends. They all moved into the castle with her. See, they were kind to her, they helped her in a time of need. She would never leave them behind. Everyone in the kingdom was delighted with the prince's new bride, and Cinderella and the prince lived happily ever after. The end. Oh, I love that story, and I love all of her friends. No matter what, she was there for them, and they were always there for her, and they all benefited in the end. Just like some of us, we have friends, and as long as we are kind and treat them with respect, they'll do the same for us, in good times and in times of need. So thank you, everyone, for coming to my reading corner as we read Walt Disney's Cinderella. Thank you.